Welcome back everyone to Transformers Cyberverse Season 3. We're going to pick up right where we left off with the Battle for Cybertron Part 2. So, at the end of the previous episode, Chromia was recaptured by Soundwave, but then Hope arrived as it looked like the Autobots on board the Ark were coming to her rescue, but then it seemed like Shockwave had destroyed the Ark and everyone aboard with his Resident Evil style laser grid. But we know better than that. This is obviously just a hologram that Shockwave created. Why? I don't know. Maybe just to mess with Chromia and take away any hope that she had of being saved. Well, let's get on with this episode to find out. We begin this episode with Megatron watching the destruction of the Ark and congratulating Shockwave on a job well done. Okay, is he not in on that this is all just a big illusion? Megatron then gives a speech to his troops. He reveals that they have Vector Sigma. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about Vector Sigma. Starscream and his Seekers had stolen it from the Decepticons in the previous season. And then everybody was so obsessed about getting the Allspark, we kind of lost track of it. That's a shame because you'd think Vector Sigma would be as important an artifact as the Allspark. But everyone just kind of discarded it. Megatron also reveals his plan.
I will create an army of Decepticons, all under my command!
Which is more or less the same plan that movie Megatron had in the first live-action movie, and sort of what Starscream's plan was in the previous season. Create an army of Decepticons loyal to him. Will he end up creating a bunch of scraplets or something? Or will they be proper full-fledged Decepticons? Megatron then issues a command to Skywarp, but before we get a chance to see them, he is interrupted by Teletran X cutting a hole in his big door. So maybe that's where this shot in the trailer is from. Teletran X then accosts Megatron for destroying his ship. Wait, what? So the Ark really is destroyed? Well, the Autobots must have survived because, again, this shot in the trailer. Teletran gives Megatron a little bop for being such a naughty boy, who then turns around and sends him flying out the hole that he made. Which is when you hear a bunch of transformation noises in the distance. Megatron exits the Decepticon headquarters to see all the Autobots ready to fight, like that scene from Endgame. Autobots, assemble. Megatron is baffled how the Autobots survived. It is then revealed that Optimus Prime had all the Autobots abandon ship, except for Teletran X. Optimus then says to Hot Rod,
Hot Rod, someday you will be called upon to be a leader.
Weird, so that speech was meant for Hot Rod, not Bumblebee, which was how they re-edited it in the trailer. Which I guess makes sense. They're probably referencing, if not outright foreshadowing, Hot Rod's ascension to Rodimus Prime. But this Cyberverse Hot Rod hasn't really done anything to exhibit leadership qualities yet in the show. Bumblebee would make a better leader than Hot Rod at this point, in my opinion. Well, that's how the Autobots, thanks to some foresight by Optimus Prime, managed to escape certain doom. Now to the battle at hand. Both sides clash as we spy our three Kid Appeal characters, Bumblebee, Hot Rod, and Cheetor, quietly hiding above the battle. Bee and Cheats want to jump in and help, but Hot Rod says that they have orders from Optimus to stay back until the other Autobots clear the way. Back in the battle, we get our first look at one of the new characters joining the show in this season. It's Strika from Beast Machines and Transformers Animated. At first, we just see her in her vehicle mode rolling alongside Megatron, but we'll see more of her in a moment. In the next part of the fight, Prowl and Shadow Striker lead a bunch of fellow warriors against each other, with Prowl's Superman punching a random Viacon and flipping him over, and Shadow Striker and Wheeljack face off in melee combat. A funny thing to note here is that Wheeljack is using what looks like a baseball bat. It appears to say power written on it in Cybertronian, so I guess this is a power bat? Bumblebee cheers on above the Destruction Derby, but some Seekers come in for a run as Hot Rod tells Bee to stay low. That's Windblade's cue to join the battle, and she unleashes her super to take down the Decepticon flyers. Also, she does this really cool move where she dives towards the ground and then transforms and swoops back up into the air at the last minute. She totally didn't have to do that, but still, it did look really cool. However, she too soon has more Seekers on her tail. But not for long, thanks to my boy Jetfire, who takes them out for her. Flyers supporting flyers, am I right? We then have a really funny and cute scene of RC riding Grimlock as she blasts Decepticons, which I can't help but be reminded of their feature episode together, Perfect Storm. But this combo attack is stopped by our full-figured femme fatale, Strika, who then tries to pull a King Kong maneuver on poor Grimlock, but lucky for him and unlucky for her, she forgot about Grimlock's Fire Blast. We then have what I thought was a generic Autobot riding and punching a Seeker until they crash into the ground, but nope. It turns out it's not just some generic Autobot, it's actually Cup. The old timer is then tackled by Lockdown, but fortunately another new bot comes to his rescue, Whirl. No, not Rescue Bots Academy Whirl. And yes, I know Cyberverse and Rescue Bots are supposed to be in separate universes. Or are they? Because this world does look a lot like that Whirl that Rescue Bots Whirl drew and put on her locker. So, who knows? I'm just kidding. I know they're both based on IDW Whirl. Or are they? Okay. So, moving on, we get a quick bit of Rack and Ruin dual-wielding hammers on Clobber, followed by Skybite dominating some generic Autobots as he recites a haiku.
When cruel pain falls, a serenade of fury. Skybite ascendant!
But RC boos his poem, and Skybite can't take the criticism. RC manages to grab onto Skybite and kind of brutally punches him in the side, denting him until they both fall to the ground. We then have Ratchet, fulfilling his role as medic, working on an injured Autobot. Clobber tries to attack him. Geez, don't they have some kind of Cybertronian version of the Geneva Convention? Isn't there some kind of rule that you're not allowed to harm a medic in combat? Well, luckily Clobber can't get through Ratchet's bubble shield, but unfortunately, somehow Soundwave's sonic blasts can. Bumblebee tries to go help Ratchet, but Hot Rod stops him. We then briefly see one of the other new Decepticons, Dead End, as he fights a couple generic Autobots. Laserbeak attacks Teletran X, but Whirl saves him. I think I'm really starting to like this Whirl too. And finally, Optimus and Megatron face off. Shadow Striker aims to snipe Prime, but Prowl dives in the path to take the hit. He ends up getting shot in more or less the same spot that G1 Prowl did in Transformers the movie, which, if you've ever seen that movie, you know that's all it can take. Prowl lies motionless as the music swells, and everybody looks very concerned. Even Shadow Striker. Interesting. The only time I recall seeing Prowl and her together is in the Season 2 flashback of them fighting on the highway. Could the two of them have a history together? After decking Shadow Striker and checking on Prowl, Optimus charges Megatron, while Shockwave retreats inside, goes down a lift, and we end the episode with some strange noises. Obviously, the Decepticons have a surprise in store for the Autobots. Alright, well, what else is there left to say about this episode? I was honestly stunned that the Ark was actually destroyed. I thought for sure that was one of Shockwave's holograms. Megatron saying to Shockwave that he finally did something right, and then him correcting him saying that he has a success rate of 99.8% was very interesting. Was Megatron gaslighting Shockwave? Or does he just assume that all his Decepticons are incompetent? Or was Shockwave overselling himself? I mean, 99.8% seems really high. If he really did have that kind of success rate, they'd have beaten the Autobots by now. I wonder if this might play into the episode Secret Science, where Shockwave mentioned possibly usurping Megatron. Could that happen in this season? Teletran X calling Megatron a big buckethead bully was pretty cute.
You, big buckethead bully.
I want to say I've heard Megatron referred to as a buckethead before, but I can't remember where.
You're going down, buckethead!
I have to say, unlike the first episode in Season 2, where they also had a big battle, I thought that most of the fight choreography in this episode was fantastic. They had a lot of cool, unique moments throughout this whole episode, with only a few odd, slightly less dynamic bits to break up the high pace. If the rest of the fights in this season are like this, We have a lot to look forward to. Like I said before, it is weird that they suddenly started to build Hot Rod as a leader when the only leader type thing he's done before this was fly the Ark out of the mountain. But the little moments they gave him with Bumblebee and Cheetor did help build towards him becoming leadership material. It was great to see Cut back in a Transformers cartoon again, after basically just the original one over 30 years ago. And it's even better seeing a G1 style Whirl finally appear in a cartoon. How many wreckers is that now that we have in the show? With Rack and Ruin, I think that makes 3. Who knows, maybe someone like Springer, Ultra Magnus, Impactor, or Topspin and Twin Twist will show up in this season too. Man, how cool would it be to have a Wreckers team in a Transformers cartoon? Oops, almost forgot about the Prime Wreckers. Oh, and I can't forget about Strika. It's awesome that we got another Beast Era character in the show. Well, those are my thoughts on the Battle for Cybertron Part 2. I'm going to end this right here because I want to get this episode review edited so I can finally move on and watch Part 3. I can't wait to see what happens. Does Prowl die? Did he have a Romeo and Juliet relationship with Shadow Striker? Kind of like Silverbolt and Black Arachnia in Beast Wars? Does she switch sides for him?
For you, Rover, I join your side.
I got to know. Why am I still talking? The sooner I shut up, the sooner I can watch the next episode and find out. As always, let me know your thoughts on this episode down in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, ring the bell, share, and all that other fun YouTube stuff. And I'll see you back here soon for the Battle for Cybertron Part 3.